Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a spooktacular Halloween scene card to share with you featuring Pretty Pink Posh August 2022 release products. We're going to be mixing and matching several different stamp sets plus a stencil to build this sweet scene card, plus my favorite Tim Holtz moon mask stencil for that spooky fun background. Now this is definitely spooky sweet, not spooky scary, and that is my personal favorite. We are going to start with a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel of smooth white cardstock. And I purposely left this in the video as I wanted to show you building out my scene. I get asked a lot if I sketch out my cards, and I don't. What I like to do is take the components that I think I'm going to use and lay them out on my panel. You'll notice I started thinking I was going to build the card in landscape format, and I quickly changed that. I shouldn't say I like better landscape, but I would say probably 70% of the time I do a portrait style card compared to landscape. It always just depends on what I'm using. And I thought the height difference doing a portrait card here worked better because it gave me a little more room in the upper part of the card. I am going to be using 3 of the cute Halloween critters from the brand new August release stamp set. We'll use the Mummy Bear, the little Caped Crusader Kitty, and then the Witch Bunny. I'm also going to be using the Spooktacular greeting from this stamp set, and that fabulous fence is from the Halloween Borders stamp set. In that particular stamp set, if you don't want to color in the fence, I picked the color in fence. There's also a fence that is solid, so you could definitely do that, and there's coordinating dies for each border. Then we need some accessories. From the Halloween envelopes stamp set, I am taking the bat images, the little tiny ghosty, and the little teeny tiny spider, and those are going to be accessories for our scene. I'm going to start by building out my background and completely adding color with Distress Oxide inks. Using the solid moon mask, I'm going to hold it in place and ink around it using some chipped sapphire Distress Oxide ink. Normally for my Halloween backgrounds, I really love to build like a night sky, and I love to do it with a blue ink, a purple ink, and then always a little bit of black. So today I chose chipped sapphire, Villainous Potion, of course, that's the perfect name for a Halloween card, black soot, and then a little rustic wilderness for the grass along the bottom edge of the card that we will apply a little bit of black soot around the edges to give it a little bit more of a dirty, muted background, I want to say. A moody, not dirty, moody. Sorry guys. So around that moon mask now, I'm going to apply Villainous Potion with a pretty heavy hand. I really want that purple overlay over the night sky blue. I think it just gives a perfect kind of, again, moody type of Halloween feel. Then a little black soot. And I'll go just around the edges, working that into the rest of our ink color. Then I'm going to get some Rustic Wilderness, and we're going to apply that along the bottom edge. There's no need to worry too much about where the colors meet on this particular card, because that fence and the critters are going to go over that seam where they meet. Meaning I just need the illusion of some grass down along the bottom edge. I don't actually have to have an extra border. You can see when I add the Rustic Wilderness, it's pretty bright green, and we definitely want to make that more of a moody green, and black soot is the magic kind of way to give it that moody type of look. I absolutely love just kind of working that black ink into that. You don't lose the green color, but it definitely gives it the perfect Halloween look. Now, when I remove the solid mask, it is so stark white. Not what we want a moon to look like. I have used these moon masks multiple times, and I've always tried to use yellow ink And the last time I used this mask, I realized antique linen, I think, is my very favorite. So I just remove the mask and I don't worry about masking anything else off, and I use antique linen as my base. Around the edges of the moon, to soften it and kind of make it blend into the background a little bit better, I'm applying a little chipped sapphire from my blending brush. I went back over it with a little antique linen, and then we're going to apply the detail moon mask, and I am going to ink up the detail with chipped sapphire, and it is going to look amazing. We still have a little bit left to do, but when I remove the mask, look at that moon. I'm going to go around the edges again to soften it some more with chipped sapphire, and I love it. So here are the Distress Oxide ink colors I used for my background: Antique Linen, Chipped Sapphire, Black Soot, Rustic Wilderness, and Villainous Potion. And that moon is magical. Now what you want to do is you want to take the solid moon mask and lay it back in place if you're going to do this next step. Pretty Pink Posh has this brand new star stencil. I love star stencils. And I am going to place it over the moon to protect it. And then I'm going to take a little silver paste and apply it through my stencil using a palette knife. The moon mask underneath is going to protect that moon area so that when I remove the mat or the stencil and the mask, I'm going to be left with the silver sparkly background, which just leads to the spooky fun feel, but the moon isn't going to have the sparkles on it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to set that aside to completely dry, and I'm going to grab anything that has been touched by that paste and go clean it with some warm soapy water. On a separate piece of smooth white cardstock, I'm using Nina 110-pound weight solar white cardstock. I have stamped the fence, Halloween critters, bats, spider, and ghosty using Hero Arts intensified black ink. I'm going to color all of my images in with Copic markers. You can use whatever coloring medium you prefer. I have listed the colors I'm using down in the description below the video here on YouTube for easy reference. I always list out what I'm coloring and then what, like fence, and then I'll put E, 55, and 57. I've also listed these over on my blog. You can find that link down in the description below as well. I'm going to just color in this fence. I ended up not coloring the whole thing. I love that the fence is sized for a landscape style card, but can also work for portrait. So I think I have to color a couple more spokes of the fence, but we will do that when I die cut the fence. Then I'm going to take the same color and color in the stems of my pumpkins. I took some cool grays for the little teeny tiny bats, and I've got my oranges for my pumpkins. You could do those all in different colors if you wanted to, or do like I did and do them all the same. Something I love about the Halloween Critters stamp set is that there are some jack-o'-lantern faces, 3 different ones in fact, if you want to add some customization to your pumpkins. I actually left that off. I thought it wasn't going to be visible with the critters back behind the fence, but I do think I probably could have added a jack-o'-lantern face to 1 or 2 of the pumpkins. And if I had it to do over, I probably would have added it to maybe the critter in the center. Maybe not all of the pumpkins, or maybe I would have. But I like them just like this as well. So you can add jack-o'-lantern faces and customize them how you want, or you can leave them off like I did. For my bear, I did a very light E40 and 43 for the mummy wrap to give it a bit of color. And then the bear itself is E81, 84, and 87. Lots of earth tones. I did speed up the coloring quite a bit to save us some time. And something I did want to note about the pumpkin before I get too far and forget is it's pretty smooth right now, and you will notice in the finished card there's quite a bit more texture. I had really oversaturated my pumpkin and I didn't want it to bleed, so I left it for a little bit, and I will come back to it, you'll notice here in a minute, and add in some better detail. I like my pumpkins to have a lot of detail to them with that flickering feathering type motion. So I will be coming back to that here in a bit because I think it gives it a little bit more of a realistic look. just like that. So cute. For the witch's hat, I am using some blue violet colors. It has just a tint of purple to it. I almost feel like it really matches our night sky. It's kind of a grayish, a cool gray purple. And I really like it. So cute. I love that they have all the little costumes. And I should mention, there is a little dog in this set that's dressed as a ladybug, which is darling as well. That would have been really fun. It would have been a nice little pop of some red. I could have done some moody red coloring with that little guy. Maybe for my next Halloween card. And then adding in all of our shading. And here you can see the pumpkins up above, obviously now have a lot better detailing to them. And we're going to use the same blue violets that I used for the witch hat for the mask and cape, our little caped crusader kitty. And then I will do a gray color. I think I actually color the cat last. I think I go to the bunny next, and then I come back to the cat. We're going to use some E40, 43, and 44 for the bunny. All of these images have coordinating dies, which I totally love. That includes the little teeny tiny bats and ghosty and spider, which to me just finishes off this scene perfectly. I can't wait to get all of these images die cut and start putting the card together and showing you how it goes from the beginning where I was laying out the stamps and the stencil figuring out placement to the end where it all comes together to build such a sweet Halloween scene card. Halloween cards don't have to just be for kids either. I think it's fun to send them out to friends and family as well. Just something fun to send a little, happy Halloween, thinking of you, grateful for your friendship, whatever it might be. It's just kind of fun to center some cards around any holiday. I used to not do very many Halloween cards, but we were talking about this in a recent live, that it's become something that I enjoy a lot more. For the cat, I am going back with my darker gray marker and adding in some little stripes. Added just a little kind of blue violet 20 to side of the ghost. And now we have all of our die cut pieces. And you can see I didn't quite color enough of my fence. So let's just fix that real quick. And then I'm going to lay it out and start putting it all together. I always like to then take my images and kind of make sure everything is looking the way I think it's going to. Look at those bats against the moon. My favorite part of the card. And then we're going to position our critters back behind the fence. If you put them in front of the fence gets lost. There's really no reason to have the fence, in my opinion. So I thought it was cute that they were peeking up over the fence, and then we can put a little spider in front of the fence there down near the ground. I want to make sure that I'm leaving enough room for my sentiments, so I often will take them and lay them out. You Are Spooktacular is from Halloween Critters, and the Halloween Wishes, is from Halloween Envelopes. I love mixing and matching. I'm going to flip my fence over and we're going to pop up the fence first with some foam adhesive. And I'm just going to kind of piece large and small square foam adhesive pieces all over the back. Foam adhesive is everything and should be used always. And we're going to pop that up right there and see how it just kind of hides the seam where the sky meets the ground perfectly. And then we're going to pop up our critters back behind. Now I did trim them a little bit so they fit behind better. I'm just kind of cutting a straight line along the bottom. No one will ever know that you had to alter them just a little bit to make it all fit better. And there is our third and final. Wasn't fitting super great. I must have had to adjust something. I fiddled with that poor little bunny quite a lot. Then we have our little ghost floating up here, our bats, and our spider will be glued down here near the fence. I love that little spider. I don't like spiders. I say this all the time, but I think for Halloween cards, and this is a cute one. Cute ones are different. For the eyes on the bear, I'm going to use a black glaze pen. I'm going to add or kind of fix anything that needs fixed. I am going to stamp Spooktacular on a separate piece of smooth white cardstock using black ink, and then I will die cut that. There is a coordinating die for it, so we can die cut that right on out. And then I'm going to use the die as a guide, and I'm going to place the "You Are" phrase and Halloween wishes phrase directly on my card background. I think that I can be creative with where those go and avoid any of the stenciled area and stamp them right on the background instead of having separate pieces, like separate sentiment strips. I wanted to eliminate as many sentiment strips as possible. Spooktacular will really shine, and the die cut obviously die cuts around the shape really nicely. I don't want to cover up too much of the moon. The moon is like one of the focal points that really brings the whole scene together. And so stamping on the background kind of eliminates the need for any extra cardstock that covers anything up. I stamped those two phrases with VersaFine ONYX black ink. And then, of course, we'll take that coordinating die. I really like how it die cuts right around this scripty font. This scripty font is really pretty. I like it. And then I'm going to pop up my sentiment with foam adhesive as well. All the little foam adhesive squares. And then it fits right between, oh, whoops, those two phrases. Aren't those sparkly stars fun? I really like that I didn't have to add any extra sparkly stars, that the stenciling with the glitter paste just added them all over. And then we can place this on a white top fold card base, and that is it for the front of our card. So super quick and easy. The scene does fit the entire front of an A2 sized card. I kept it full size, gave me lots of real estate and room to work with. But of course, we need a coordinating envelope, and you could use any of the new stencils from the latest release. I think you could do the layered ghosts, the layered pumpkin, or anything like that. I actually just went back to my stars stencil that I used for my background, and I didn't even re-ink my blending brush from the Villainous potion, and I went around the edges inking up very lightly some stars, and that is it. Super easy. Left a blank space in the center for the greeting. I am going to put some crystal lacquer on the noses of my critters and let that completely dry. Gives them a nice little glossy nose finish, and our scene card is all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Spooktacular Halloween scene card featuring pretty pink Posh stamps, dies, and stencils. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to see you over there as part of the community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making video. I appreciate you guys spending some of your day with me. Thank you so very much, and we will see you again next time. Bye!